Hi everyone, welcome to our online class. Today you'll be learning how to make panna cotta, a creamy delicious Italian dessert topped with blackberry coulis. My name is Kate, I own Dolce Lusso cakes, and together with my sister Valerie we're bringing our passion of baking and sweet luxuries to you via our YouTube channel. So let's begin. First we're going to start with our cream. To begin with, grab your bowl of cold water, 450 ml, and we're going to place 2 gelatin leaves into that to rehydrate. So just pop those in, make sure they're fully immersed, and put them to one side for later. We're then going to combine our milk and cream into a saucepan on a medium heat. So just using a spatula, scrape everything out, don't want to waste anything, and gently warm up your liquid. We don't want to, you need to keep an eye on it and you need to stir it, and we don't want it to come to a boil. Now while that is warming up, we're going to, just put that to one side, we're going to take our vanilla pod and you're going to cut it down the middle. We'll just do it that way. Cut it down the middle to expose the pods, the seeds inside. And then we're going to open it up. Oops. And then using the back of your knife, we're going to scrape, hold one end, and we're going to scrape the seeds out. And then just gently wipe them onto the side edge of your pan. Taking the other half, again scrape that. The seeds are really precious, and drop them in and drop the pods in too. We're now going to give it a stir. And what you want to do is, as the cream warms up, you want to separate those seeds so that they disperse within the liquid. You can see they're still clumping a little bit, so you need to find them, and as the liquid warms up, so see they're all stuck together there, so I'm just pushing them against the side of the pan and against the base just to try and break them up a bit and spread them evenly throughout the mixture. We're also going to add 60 grams of caster sugar. You can use plain sugar if you don't have caster sugar. And mix that in. And as the liquid heats up, as it gets warmer, we're going to add a sprig of thyme. And I've got 1 sprig here from the garden. You can get it from your local supermarket, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bruise the leaves a bit by just squeezing it, and then I'm going to pop that in to my mixture so that as the milk and cream warm up, the flavors of the thyme will gently infuse it with the vanilla bean. You don't want the flavor to be too strong, so you don't need much. It's just a delicate flavoring. Okay, let's just keep that going. And then we're going to check our gelatin. So by rehydrating it, you're changing the consistency. It's become really soft and has like a slight rubbery texture. Okay, you want to make sure that your water is cold so that it doesn't start to dissolve. We're just rehydrating at this point. So let's check our mixture. Okay, it is slowly warming up. And again, just check that the vanilla beans have been evenly distributed, because sometimes they can just clump together. See, I found a clump there. Just need to disperse them. It's just so that when you pour them into the glasses later to set, you don't have one that's got all the vanilla beans, and then you're missing out of that gorgeous, gorgeous flavor. You can substitute this for a dairy-free option. If you want to use almond milk instead of cow's milk, you can. And you can use Alpro cream replacement, and that makes a divine dairy-free dish. Oops. And you can also infuse it with other herbs, depending on what you're serving it with for the main course. Okay, so we're nearly there. Okay. Right, we're going to turn off the heat. And then we're going to just gently squeeze out the excess water from the gelatin. The gelatin is going to help solidify the liquid within your mixture, not the fats, but the liquid. But you don't want too much liquid, and that's why we're squeezing the water, the excess water out. Okay, so then you just pop this into your mixture. Get your spatula or your wooden spoon and gently just stir it in. And the heat of the pan and mixture will then start the dissolving process. Gelatin does naturally dissolve at body temperature. Okay, so the gelatin is fully combined. We're going to move our bowl of cold water away because we're going to need that later. And we're going to bring back our jug that had the cream and milk in it. And we're going to put a sieve on top, and we're going to strain our mixture. So just do this carefully. If you put the spatula or your spoon underneath the flow, you're likely to avoid splashing. Okay, just drop it all in. Oops. Okay, put that to one side. And just check that there aren't any, see that I've got loads of vanilla bean seeds here. I don't want to miss out on those, so I'm just pushing them through the sieve. And they've come through. Okay. Just give that a stir. We're going to put that to one side. So now our vanilla bean mixture is cooling. We're going to set that aside for about half an hour. It needs to just cool down before we decant it into containers to put in the fridge to set. We're now going to move on to the coulis. So in a pan, I have placed 350 grams of blackberries. You can use fresh blackberries. I'm using frozen ones that I picked from the hedgerow. I'm just reusing a spatula. If you see any stalks in there, just pull those out. But they will get captured later because we will sieve it. So make sure your heat is still on, and we want to slowly break this down and warm it up. So if they're frozen, you want them to defrost, and if they're fresh, you just want them to break down. In this, we are going to add the juice of half a lemon, and you just put your hand under it to capture all the seeds. And the lemon just balances out the flavour of the blackberries, or the acidity. Just gives it a bit of balance. We're then going to incorporate 50 ml of water and 200 grams of caster sugar or granulated sugar. You just want to keep this bowl for later because we're going to sieve the blackberries to make sure that we remove all the seeds and the bits. So just incorporate this gently, and as it warms up, the flavours will combine and the blackberries will soften, and you want to then just mush them. You just want to cook these for probably about 5 minutes, depending on if they're fresh or frozen. Fresh ones obviously will cook quicker. So our blackberries are cooking gently on the hob. We want to cook them for about 5 minutes, but enough time for them to all soften and break down. Just keep mixing them gently, and we'll come back and show you to what consistency they need to be. While your blackberries are cooking, we're going to get our bowl of cold water, and we're going to immerse 3 leaves, gelatin leaves. Again, just submerge them fully and let them sit to the side while the blackberries cook down. While the blackberries are cooking, you want to just keep stirring your milk and cream mixture. Not too frequently, but every now and again, just give it a stir, because you don't want a film to set on top of it. Now, I can feel that the blackberries are cooking and softening, so as they do, I'm just pressing gently to just break them up a little bit so they can release all their juices and flavour. Now you can have your coulis as thick or thin as you like. So if you're going to be serving your dessert on a plate tipped out, then you might want to keep your coulis quite thin. But if you want to, the longer you cook it, the more jam-like it's going to become. Okay, my blackberries are now starting to bubble. I don't want to cook my coulis down too much because I prefer a lighter set jelly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the hob off, and I've just pressed most of them down. What we're now going to do is just reuse the bowl that the sugar was in. Put a sieve on top, and before this starts bubbling too much. The more you cook berries, you lose a lot more of their fresh flavour. So just pour it on top of the spoon to try and avoid splashing. It's always a good idea to wear an apron when you're making dishes with blackberries or similar fruit, so that you don't get any splatter on your clothes, because the juices do stain and mark. So the blackberries are cooked now, and they are softened. So I'm going to pass them through a sieve, and so that we collect all the pulp and juices from it, but we don't have the seeds. This will then give you a smoother, clearer coulis. So I'm just going to gently press the blackberries through the sieve. And this will just help the pulp go through. I don't know if you can see through the heat, the steam. And then I just scrape underneath the bowl to make sure that all the pulp goes into the bowl and not staying stuck onto the base of the sieve. Okay. I find that hedgerow blackberries are a bit denser than the ones you get at the supermarket. So they need a lot more encouragement, let's say, to just get through the sieve. And actually I'm going to get a wooden spoon to do that. A wooden spoon just gives you a little bit more leverage, be a bit firmer. It smells lovely. And if you want your coulis to be a little bit sweeter, then add a little bit more sugar. That's absolutely fine. I'm just using the spatula to make sure I don't miss out on any beautiful juice and pulp at the bottom. scrape the bottom. Okay. And then we're going to go back to our gelatin. Squeeze the excess liquid out. Just gently. And then we're going to incorporate that into the coulis so that it melts. And then we can put it to one side to cool. So now we've made the panna cotta and the blackberry coulis, it's time to let things cool before we plate up. So my panna cotta is cool, and I am now going to, I've got a selection of cups and glasses that I'm going to fill, put those in the fridge. Okay, so my panna cotta is cooled, and before I pour it in, you want to give it a quick stir. You want to make sure that all the beans from the vanilla pod are evenly distributed. So I've got a selection of cups here. This is a sort of a mold. I've got some espresso cups, just a normal teacup. I've also got a small glass. So just on the back of the spoon, just to stop that initial splash, and fill it up about 3/4 of the way. Okay. And the espresso cups I find make really cute dessert holders for when you have a dinner party. Okay, let's move that aside. And then for the glass, I'm going to actually hold it at an angle. So, and then I'm going to pour the panna cotta in. Don't need to go too high. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a Tupperware here with a towel just nestled in, just to give it shape. And I'm going to rest the glass at an angle so you get a lovely slope finish to your panna cotta. These are now going to go in the fridge, and they're going to set for about 3 to 4 hours. So these have been setting in the fridge for about 3 hours, and as you can see, they're quite set with a little bit of a wobble. The coulis is also at room temperature and still hasn't set. If your coulis does get a little bit thick and solidifies quickly, then all you need to do is heat it up a little bit to loosen it so that it is pourable. I'm going to use a spoon so that I don't make too much of a mess, but you can put it in a jug, and then all you do is pour your coulis on top of the panna cotta. And the reason we're doing it as things have cooled down, if the coulis is still too hot, the heat will then melt the panna cotta and the gelatin in that, and you'll end up with a bit of soup. Delicious soup, but soup no less. Okay, and then this one I'm not going to do because I'm going to serve this differently, just to show you different ways of how it can be done. So if I just top these all up, making a little bit of a mess, but that's okay, you can always wipe it down later. And if you wanted to leave it overnight to set, you can. But the jelly will also need time to set on top. So here's the one that we've done at an angle. So I am now going to then put some of the coulis in. And then as we put it in, we're going to straighten the glass up, and you'll get the effect, sort of asymmetrical effect, and it's very pretty and very effective for a dinner party. I'm just scraping the back of the spoon against the bowl edge so that it doesn't drip, and as I'm filling it, I'm straightening up the glass little bit more, I think. Whoops. Okay. So that is the glass, and I'm going to let that set a little bit more and put everything back in the fridge, and then we'll come back and show you how to decorate them. Okay, so we've got a few examples here. So this was the one in the metal dish, and to release this mold, all you need to do is just quickly dip it in some boiling hot water briefly, put a plate over it, turn it upside down, give it a bit of a wiggle, and you will feel it release. Okay, and then gently, whoops, drizzle some coulis around the edge. It's quite nice to sort of put enough around it for people to enjoy. Trying to do it back to front with the camera is a little bit tricky sometimes. Let's turn it around. You can also put it in the coulis into a jug, and that will make it just easier to pour. And then I've got a little bit of thyme here. Let's put some thyme. We can put some flaked almonds. And then I've got a little bit of cookie crumb that I've bashed up inside a bag. And those are really nice to add a little bit of texture to the finished dish. There you have one version. Okay. And then you have this one that's just in a little teacup, which is very pretty. And I'll show you how to do this one. So I'm going to put a little frozen berry in, but it will where have I put them? I'll put a little bit of crushed cookies, which are nice to put along the little line so people don't see the actual break or the separation in colours, and it just looks more fluid. With a bit of texture, sand, and just put a few flaked almonds. You can add another little, I call them mini trees. Okay, and there you have it. So we've got 3 ways with panna cotta. So first you have your little espresso cup, nice quick sweet little treat, little teaspoon on the side, maybe a little cookie to go with it. That's one option. Then we tipped out the other one after dipping it in hot water, turning it upside down, swirling it with a little bit of coulis and decorating it. And of course our final very effective dessert, very nice on the dinner table. And as you see, you've got the berry, some thyme, and just pulling all those flavors together. So lots of options and ways to create this. I hope you will make it again and again and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But for now, thank you for joining me, and look out for more recipes coming soon. Ciao!